They told us the end would come with fire or ice or the silence of a dead sun. They were wrong. It came with a whisper, a single miswoven strand of code in the grand design of life itself. The Genesis virus. It didn't burn the world. It rewrote it. It turned the living into puppets of primal instinct. The dead? They didn't stay dead. They became something else. Hungry. Relentless. They called it the rupture. And humanity, for all its arrogance, was reduced to embers scattered in the wind. But this story isn't about the fall. It's about what grew in the cracks afterward. And it starts with a ghost. You see, before the world ended, I was one. The boy in the back of the class. The face you'd forget in a crowd. My name is Kairo, and in a world of noise, being invisible was a curse. But in a world of silence, it became a strange kind of weapon. My home is now Outpost 7. We are a handful of survivors, clinging to the memory of light, led by Captain Valeria, a soldier who remembers the world before. She believes in order, in walls, in fighting for every single breath. I do my part. I scavenge. I'm good at it. Being unnoticed means you see things others miss. The unopened can of food behind a collapsed shelf. The hidden compartment in an old desk. The way the infected move. Their patterns. It's like a dance only I can see. The others, they think I'm just lucky or skilled. They don't feel what I feel when I'm out here. The fear that radiates from my companions, it's like a thick smoke. It chokes them. But for me, it's different. It's like a current. And I'm learning how to swim. It happened then. Leo froze. A creature was on him, its jaws snapping inches from his throat. Everyone screamed. Everyone panicked. And in that storm of terror, I felt a chilling calm. My body moved before my mind could protest. It wasn't courage, it was instinct. There was no struggle, no fight. It was like putting down a rabid animal. And as it died, I felt a jolt. A surge of energy, dark and warm, flood into me. It was terrifying, and it was exhilarating. That's when I knew. The rupture hadn't passed me by. It had found me, and it had decided to stay. Back at the outpost, I was a hero. Leo wouldn't stop talking about it. Captain Valeria looked at me with a new respect, but her second in command, a man named Jax, he looked at me with different eyes. The eyes of a hunter who's spotted a new kind of prey. I tried to hide the changes. The way my senses were sharpening. I could hear whispers from 3 rooms away. I could see in near total darkness. And the hunger not for food, but for that energy. The energy I took from the infected. The next time we went out, it was a supply run to an old data center. Valeria wanted intact server drives. History, she said, was a weapon. I argued against it. The place felt wrong, heavy. But they didn't listen. They never listened to the quiet ones. I was right. It was an ambush, not by a handful, but by dozens. They poured from the vents, from the server racks. They were different, faster, more coordinated. It was a nest. I saw Jax about to die, and a part of me, the cold, logical part, said, let him, he's a threat. But the ghost of the boy I was, he screamed no. It was a slaughter, a feast. I felt more powerful than I had ever dreamed. I was a god of death in that dark place, and I loved it. The ride back was silent. No one thanked me. No one looked me in the eye. They had seen the mask slip. They had seen the shadow underneath, and they were terrified. Jax didn't look at me like prey anymore. He looked at me like a monster that needed to be put down. The truth was a poison in the outpost. Whispers turned to accusations. He's one of them. He's a spy. He'll turn on us in our sleep. Captain Valeria protected me for now. She saw my power as a necessary evil, a tool to be used. But how long until the tool becomes too dangerous to hold? I tried to remember their faces, my mother's laugh, my father's stories, but the memories were like ghosts, fading in the light of what I've become. The voice in my head, the hungry one, was getting louder. "They are cattle," it whispered. "They fear you. You should give them a reason." That night, I had a dream. A figure stood before me, not a mindless infected, but a tall, graceful being with crystalline skin and glowing, intelligent eyes. It didn't speak, but its voice echoed in my mind. "You fight your own nature, little spark. You are the bridge, the next step. They are the past, clinging to rotting memories. Join us. Lead the new world into the dawn." I woke up screaming. It wasn't a dream. It was an invitation. The infected, they weren't just mindless. There was a consciousness, a hive mind. And it wanted me. I knew then that my time was short. I had to leave, to find answers on my own. But fate had other plans. The alarm blared through the outpost. Sirens, panicked shouts. Valeria's voice came over the comm, strained. "All personnel to the walls. We have a cataclysm-class horde incoming. It's bigger than anything we've ever seen. This is it. Prepare for final defense." The end had finally come for Outpost 7, and I was the only one standing between its people and oblivion. The tool was about to be used one last time. The question was, who would I be when the fighting was done? The savior, or the king of the ashes? The sight from the wall stole the breath I didn't know I needed. A sea of them, stretching to the horizon, a tidal wave of flesh and fury. And at the center, I could feel it. The consciousness from my dream. The architect of this apocalypse. It was here to watch its victory, or to collect me. I fought. I used my power, pulling the life from the infected in great sweeping waves. I was a storm of destruction. But for every one I felled, 10 more took its place. I was just delaying the inevitable. I saw Jack's fall, and in that moment, I made my choice. I would not be the monster they feared. I would not be the king the hive mind wanted. I would be the ghost one last time. The boy who was overlooked, protecting the only family he had left. I stopped fighting the individuals. I reached out with my mind, toward the central consciousness. It was a vast, cold intelligence. A billion voices screaming in unison. I showed it my memories. My mother's laugh, Leo's grateful smile, Valeria's stubborn hope. I showed it humanity. Not as cattle, but as something fragile and beautiful and worth protecting. The consciousness was confused. It had never seen this. It only understood hunger and order. I offered it something else. A memory, a feeling. It spoke, its voice now curious, less certain. "What is this? This pain? This warmth? It is illogical." And then I made my final move. I didn't attack it. I didn't try to destroy it. I gave it everything I had, every memory, every emotion, every last pulse of the boy named Kairo. I offered it a soul. It was too much for my half-human body to channel. I felt myself unraveling. The last thing I felt was the central consciousness, its form flickering, looking at me not with malice, but with something akin to understanding. And then, gratitude. It had been so lonely. And then darkness. They say my heart only half beats. Maybe that's true. But it was enough. It was enough to feel. It was enough to choose. It was enough to remember what it meant to be human. For all of us.